For a long time, for maybe a decade, you're playing, you're fit, you're active, and then very quickly, um, I wouldn't say it's ageist, but the perception around a player that's over 30 is that they're like a decrepit old man, and it's like that's just still a young person, but you're made to feel that actually you're on your way out now. You're on the decline. Just embrace it. Um, and then there is obviously an element of starting to think about the next chapters of your life, but also, 30 is no age to start feeling as if you're old and past it, but it can feel like that sometimes.
And in terms of education, then, was that something that's always been in your mind? You've always wanted to learn more?
Yes, I've always been interested in learning more and pushing myself in that way. But the the more academic side of that only came recently. So I've always read and I've always wanted to be up to date with current affairs, and I've been interested in history and all of those kinds of things. But then actually trying to link that interest into something that can help me develop as a person and professionally, yeah, that was only in the last sort of 5 years or so. I think they're symbiotic. I don't think you can develop as a coach if you don't develop in some sort of way academically as well, because you need to be able to theorize, you need to be able to research, you need to be able to, have a solid justification for why you're doing things and saying things. And I don't think you can dream that up.
And have you applied that increase in your knowledge, in the depth of your knowledge, as you call it, to the job that you're in today?
Oh, I hope so. I feel like every day you're being pushed and challenged, especially at a club like Brentford, where obviously we're a smaller club. We like to use data to inform some of the decisions we make. I think actually what I'm able to do now is look at both. I can look at what the data suggests, and I can look at the human element of what we're talking about, because we are talking about humans and young people as well a lot. I can use the two and amalgamate a bit of knowledge from both to make a more informed decision, or at least educate others on how we can make a better decision.
And are you mindful also of the fact that for other players, they also need to consider broader education, perhaps if they're considering a second career?
Yeah, yeah, and we've looked at I certainly looked at the two things as being mutually exclusive, right? You're either knuckling down and trying to get to the Premier League or play for your country, or you're going to do some studies. But actually, they complement each other really well, depending on what you study, whether it's psychology, sports science, lots of different things that they're all interlinked. So yeah, becoming a top player isn't this standalone thing that can only be achieved in isolation. Actually, the more well-rounded you are, the better, because part of the themes that came out of my studies was that a lot of players suffer this identity foreclosure, which is where they shut off so many elements of what makes them who they are, and they just focus on that one identity piece of I'm a footballer, that these dormant parts, they start to sort of, yeah, they wilt. So it's not unless someone lights the fire is really fortunate. Someone lit the fire under me to say, no, no, you're capable of more. Your left foot's okay, but actually you're capable of a lot more and influencing a lot more of society and of the game.
And do you think, other on that particular note, do you think players may have a tendency to underestimate what they can offer in what you might call a normal workplace?
Yeah, yeah. I think um, it's no secret. People have been saying for a long time now that the transferable skills um, that you develop in football can go into so many other fields and industries. I've seen some really great keynote speakers, because being able to hold a room and be engaging is something that you might develop as a captain or as a leader or someone who's in a volatile place like a football dressing room. These are things that if you harness them and you get the right support in understanding where your skills are, or maybe where your blind spots are, you can go on and really, like, not just monetize these things, but really influence people in a positive way.
And what would your message be to younger players? You say that you like to pass on thoughts and advice, obviously, but in terms of education, do you have a particular view on that in terms of getting your thoughts across about what they can achieve beyond the dressing room?
Yeah, I do, and I don't think it's something that you can thrust onto someone, you know, go and get a degree. You'll need it. That's not really like it's not really the tone that you need to because everyone's gonna do things at their pace and, you know, and at their capacity. But just knowing that it's an option. Here are some of the outcomes that doing this type of study will could give you. Is there anything out of this list of things that you think would take an interest in? And then holding workshops or open days or events that kind of like when they used to come into school and you know have like a job fair kind of thing. You can do that and at least make the people aware so that they have a choice, rather than just assuming that people know where to turn. I think that's going to be the big part.